find someone who would not want to get rid of pain and suffering or disease, right?
Well, there's plenty of masochists out there if you want to get into it.
Tomorrow I'm going to talk about the DNA.
They can turn on pain when they want. If they can control pain through technology, you know, be pain and then turn it off.
Well, they specifically would want to give the control lever to someone else. But that is a small subset of humanity. Right?
Very small.
Yeah. I think, I mean, about death, there's a difference between what people say now and what they would say if the immortality potion were there. I mean, you hear a lot of talk about, you know, death gives life meaning, it makes our experiences more poignant, and also there's a possibility after I die I may frolic in heaven. But
it's just rationalization.
Well, it's not just rationalization, but yet when I ask very religious people who I know, and I know a lot because I have an office in Ethiopia where everyone is very, very religious in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Okay. I asked the people I know there who are very deeply and honestly religious, like, if I gave you a pill today that would let you add an extra 100 years to your healthy life, would you take it? Sure. Everyone says yeah. And if I ask them, well, after that 100 years is up, will you take it again? Well, yeah, why not? I mean, heaven can always be postponed.
You can opt out. You can. If people want to terminate their lives, because they feel like it's monotonous after 500 or 1,000 or whatever X number of years go by.
I mean, in actual practice, once you give them that supplement, 99% plus people will choose life, regardless of what philosophy they espouse now.
And if knowledge is advancing,
here's an ethical issue. Here's a big ethical issue. If everybody will be living for a long time, including dictators and the bad people, probably young people wouldn't be that strong to overcome certain problems which you can easily do. So some people will be much more advanced than another one. So the society will be deeply divided. And it's a big ethical
that's beside the point.
I'm not sure I agree with that, because if you look, people have always talked about the technological divide, but if you look, I think there's a lag time between the wealthy and the poor getting technology when it's first introduced. But if you look like 5-10 years down the road, there's always cheap competitors, right? Yeah. So if you can't afford an iPhone, you get a Samsung. And if you look in Africa, you see that people can't afford PCs or iPads, but they all have a smartphone, and that's how they order supply. That's how they order their groceries. You know, so they rely on wireless networks.
That's not true
I'm talking about slightly different
if you look in Africa, just right now, say in Ethiopia, a population of 90 million, there's maybe 10 or 15 million who are urbanized,
right,
for which what you say is true. But I mean, there's another.
Society reaches a certain level of
70 million
the
who are subsistence farmers do not have a smartphone.
No, I'm saying I'm not saying. I'm saying like the more modern and progressive the society is, the less the more capitalist it is.
But you're right.
The less lag time there is
in 10 years, those subsistence farmers may have a smartphone.
Chairman, I'm talking about one of the biggest issues is a circle of life. So when we're talking about immortality, we're going to break a great circle of life. When somebody's dying, somebody's getting birth. So do you want let's say the Hitler live for a long time? No, you don't.
Yeah, why not?
No, you don't.
I don't want to put him in power, though.
I mean, if the evil will have a power to live for a long time.
Nothing wrong with Hitler, the little LSD psychotherapy can't solve.
Before we have one solution for that.
It'll be a great reality TV show.
If the only way to make sure that Hitler doesn't live a long time is to make sure that no one lives a long time, then
what's today's solution.
I think I'll take Hitler.
But if we have immortality pills, that will be terrible.
I mean, how to regulate?
And he will create his own friends with the same types of pill, and he's not going to sell it to you.
Well, I mean, what the history of medicine so far shows is not too long after the elite has the medicine, Indian and Chinese pharmaceutical companies are cranking it out at low cost for everyone.
Yeah. Ben, medicine been with the humanity for a long, long time.
Well, sure, but not mass manufacturing has not been with humanity.
Alternative pills, we're just approaching to these problems, and we don't have a healthy solution for this yet.
No,
it has to come with the package. You
but once we have it,
we discover it, immortality, so everybody has immortality.
That's what will happen. happen.
The whole
Once
business
anyone
will go
has it,
down.
within 10 years,
the whole
everyone
business
will
will
have it.
die.
Well, I mean-
Insurance business, bank business.
A lot of businesses die. I mean, the music CD business died. I mean, businesses are killed by
gradually.
over 10 years.
Well, if they're
Over a
superseded by
10-year period.
superior developments, and that's fine. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, like,
of course.
I mean, no one wants to prop up the horse and buggy industry if there's an automobile. So, but I think that, you know, there are I mean, to acknowledge that there are inequalities is crazy. It's like if you look at the world now, currently, there's huge inequalities between
Yes.
third world, second world, first world nations. But you know, if you look at some of these trends, there's hope. There's cause for hope because populations go down, like birth rates go down in democratic countries, right? And countries that become more democratic have lower birth rates. So some of the problems of like food supply and economic disparities that people are always talking about, if this sort of thing is progressing and happening faster and faster, there's going to be a catch-up where these countries are going to be at this sort of state that we're at.
These issues are subtle because I wonder if before manufacturing and software get outsourced to Africa, robots will just become cheaper than people, and then this dynamic doesn't proceed anymore, right? I mean, it's been going that way for a while. Like now, factories in China are being robotized, so that industries that need humans still, because robots can't do the work, are being outsourced to Southeast Asia, right? So once Southeast Asia becomes more advanced, they'll robotize their factories. Then eventually the industry moves to Africa or Azerbaijan or somewhere, or maybe the robots will just be able to do everything, and then the Africans are left as subsistence farmers, right? I mean, it's not really it's not at all clear how these things will play out in the next decade.
But if you look
what
at
the people going to do? What the people going to do when the robots will do the whole work? So
well, the people in Africa, either we will share resources with them, or they will keep living off the land like they are right now. I mean, that's been going
it would
on
be
for some time.
interesting to look at this data. I mean, if you could have like objective measures of progress, right? Like you could look at education, and you know, economic, manufacturing, literacy rates, like health rates, and then track these things over a longer time period and to see if they're accelerating and at what rate. Maybe Ray Kurzweil has done this, but he's looked more at the technological side and less for like these other social things.
You know Robin Hanson, an economist at George Mason University. So he's made the best attempt I've seen to extrapolate what will happen to the economy if robots take over more and more people's jobs. So he sort of assumes like X% of the labor force is eliminated at different social strata over the period between now and 2040, and tries to plot out what would that would do to the economy, which is interesting. But his approach was more first world centric. He didn't try to like parse out what would it mean for a country at
different economies with different population levels and
but Robin Hanson actually just using textbook economics, but feeding in assumptions regarding exponential technological progress. He's the only one I know to make a serious effort at that. There's some papers like that. Which
actually, it's interesting because you can do, and I know we talked about this a little bit like a long time ago, but do multi-agent modeling where like you could it's computationally intensive because you talk about simulating a society. But if you could simplify the parameters somehow and then run these things on supercomputers and do projections about what...
It's a smart idea.
I've always advocated, so you can say, well, like people argue theoretically about like which type of economic systems are better, which type of political systems are better. Could you do computational models of these things where you incorporate a large number of factors and let them play out in different scenarios and then see which ones work? I mean, you already have evidence. This is just additional evidence, right? We already know that certain things are better than certain things are better than others. But like this would be additional evidence. I think that would be useful in making these kinds of arguments.
It will be interesting. It's difficult because the way a social or economic system plays out with humans involved. It depends so much on human psychology and motivation, which is hard to put in your system. But
you would need to model a person as a very simple thing that can react in a little number of different ways to a small number of external. I think there are some stock market simulations that are done like that these days.
There is no. I mean, there is a literature of agent-based simulations of
An
financial
agent
markets.
can buy
yeah,
or
but they don't.
sell,
But none of them.
depending on
None of them
what
capture.
he reads on the news.
None of them capture the most significant
Of course.
stylized
Yeah.
facts of financial markets. But I want to go back to something Vlad mentioned a moment ago, which ties more into Cosmism and the value of this sort of foundational philosophical understanding of technological advance and its relation to humanity. I mean, what you ask is once robots can do all the jobs, once there are nano assemblers all around that will make us whatever we want. So we don't need to spend all our time working for a living anymore. Material abundance is there, as Peter Diamandis and others have foreseen. And I mean, I don't want to downplay the struggle in getting there. I mean, there's many people around the world who are very, very, very far from material abundance now, and there's going to be a lot of ups and downs bringing everyone to a level of abundance. But once all the pain and suffering along the way is done, and everyone has access to some holy grail nano-assembler that just produces whatever material substances they want, right? Then, assuming a favorable outcome in which we're not all turned into computronium to power some super AI's processor bank.
I ask my class.
Humans still exist, right? Then what are we going to do?
I actually teach.
What are people going to do with their time?
I actually teach a course on AI, not computational or programming, but for psychology majors. And I always ask the question, I say, in this hypothetical future, where labor is not necessary and resources are abundant and you have an immortality of time to do whatever you want, what would you do? Like if you could do whatever you do, what would you do? And I get interesting responses, usually from the girls. It's shopping.
But what's the point of shopping if you can manufacture whatever you want?
Well, and I think that it's puzzling. I think people often entertainment, I think, is what's going to be big.
Keeping up with the robot Kardashians.
It's going to be, you're going to take your people. My view is that people are going to want to partake in virtual worlds, and they're going to want to have specific worlds that they enjoy,
so
and that they're interested in,
all about sex
and
robots.
they're just going to live in those worlds, because those worlds are much more interesting than the one that.
Yeah, these worlds can offer them much more than the reality. So when you create a synthetic reality, in this reality you can have I don't know, multiple presence, multiple feelings. You create any kind of a feelings, basically what you like, and implement to your brain. So it's going to be much more fun than in the real life.
If you have a need for a challenge, just go into a more difficult video game.
I'm a little scared by that, because if nobody wants to improve themselves, I mean, if we let machines and computers do the improvement, and they're better at doing it, and they're governed by ethical principles, then fine, let them do it. But like, I mean, what does it say about the nature of man, and I mean humanity when I say that, when we only want to entertain ourselves and we're not motivated to try and learn about the universe and try to better ourselves and improve ourselves. So I see a noble vision of man as doing that, even now, but even in the far future when